These are the kind of videos which gives you a real picture and a sneak peek into the market, that what is the current condition of market, and if you are someone who is thinking to provide his or her services, especially in the market of software development, then what are the things you should keep in mind. So if you are someone who is thinking to start as a freelancer, especially into the software sector, and if you know, let's say, about Android development and one or two backend services like Firebase or PaaS, and if you are thinking that with this landscape of knowledge, you will be able to provide the full-fledged solution to the market and whatever the market needs will be, then my friend, you are neglecting some of the parts here, or maybe you are just unaware about the current situation of the market. This video is all about sharing my personal experience about Android development as a freelancer and what are the challenges I face when it comes to building an actual software for any person or for any company. So around 1.5 years back, I was approaching one of the guys from LinkedIn who was a founder of one of the edtech startups, and we were just having a chit chat about the solution he needed for his company. So he wanted me to build a full-fledged synchronous and comprehensive solution for application interface as well as for web interface, and he needed that this solution should provide synchronous end-to-end feeds which is generated by any user, and in this case the users were their in-house operational team who wanted to use this application or this software internally into their company. So this was the point when I realized that whatever I knew was just not enough. In fact, it's just a start. And that's when I start searching that how can I make this possible, that I single-handedly would be able to provide these kinds of solutions to any business or any professional. And the another key factor here was that how can I achieve this skill set with a minimum learning curve in the least possible time. And that realization also made me understand this quote which I've read somewhere in the past, but this is now one of my favorite quotes from Socrates, which is, "To know is to know that you know nothing. And that is the meaning of true knowledge." So as I said, I wanted to make this change in me in a skill set perspective in the least possible time and with a minimum learning curve that is possible. So the first question that came into my mind was about backend, because when it comes to building something which has a web interface as well as an application interface, and you need the transaction between both of them asynchronous, then this should be done with a single server data point, and that is where the backend plays a crucial role. So the first question that came into my mind was, do I need to build this backend customly, like managing everything, states, APIs, database, storage, and many more things which are there when it comes to building a custom backend, or is there any other way which is much smoother and much easier to start with? But let me give you a small perspective here, because I myself started my software development journey as an Android developer, which made me know about few backend services like Firebase and PaaS, and I was majorly working on Firebase. But if you're someone who already knows backend development and maybe few parts of frontend, then it would be rather very easy for you to learn the full-fledged backend and how these custom APIs and how the custom backend works, and what are those parts which plays a role when it comes to extending your backend into an application interface as well. So if that's the case, then going with the full-fledged backend is the best solution for you. But if that's not the case, and if you are someone like me who has started with app development or with a front-end development only, then there are few solutions in the market which is called as BaaS solutions, which stands for backend as a service. So BaaS solutions are cloud-based backend platforms which provides you all kind of backend services with the help of APIs and SDKs. So basically, when you use any kind of BaaS solution, you don't have the headache of managing each part of a backend like database, storage, and other parts manually. It is all managed by the backend service itself, and each of the backend services works synchronously with each other. So that takes out the headache from you to manage it manually. And the special part here is that any of the BaaS services which are currently available in the market are not just limited to the app development only. You can extend your same backend coding or same backend infrastructure to the web interface as well. You just need to use the SDKs and APIs for the web interface, and that's it. Everything is managed automatically and synchronously by the organization or the company who is providing this BaaS solution. So let's just deep dive into this word BaaS, backend as a service, and what are the BaaS solutions which are available in the market right now. Now, if you're someone like me who is coming from Android app development, then I'm pretty sure that you have heard about this word called as Firebase, and in most cases you have also used it while learning Android app development, and this is the backend as a service provided by Google. So when I started my journey as an Android developer back in 2020, I was fascinated with Firebase. The service and the possibility it offers was fascinating to me, especially because it was free to use, and all the advanced services like ML-Kit, authentication, real-time database, storage, everything was free to use, and I was tempted by the things which I was able to do in my projects with the help of Firebase. And for the initial 2 years, I built each of my app using Firebase, and I still use it for some of my projects. But as I said initially into this video, when I had this chat with this guy 1.5 years back, I quickly realized after that relying solely on Firebase would not be a wise decision. So that's when I started to hunt down onto the internet that what are the other options I have in terms of BaaS solutions. But before exploring and moving on to the other BaaS solutions, let's first understand what is that thing which is lacking in Firebase, or which is a problem with Firebase, which made me realize that I need something else as a solution. So when you use Firebase, especially in the learning phase, initially it seems like you know everything and you have the complete knowledge of Android and how everything works, because Firebase gives you so many things and it seems so advanced at the initial state, and implementing it into your apps is so easy that you feel that now you know complete Android development and you will be able to tackle down any project from the market. But there is this problem called as vendor lock-in. Let me explain it further. When you slowly get more and more experience about the Android, and when you slowly get deep dive into the concepts of Android, and especially when you have these kinds of discussion with the people, which makes you realize that what is the market need, you will soonly realize this, that Firebase is good when it comes to learning phase. In the market, everyone has different needs, different requirements, and there is a very important factor which plays a role in building these kinds of software solution, which is a cost. And in Firebase, you are limited to the services which is available in the Firebase only. There is basically no full-fledged way to use other services from other companies or other providers from the market. Another factor here is that once you build your backend infrastructure for any of your application on Firebase, there is basically no way that you will able to migrate that backend infrastructure to some another provider or some another BaaS services. Once you build your backend infrastructure onto a Firebase, you are basically locked onto the Firebase itself, and you have to rely with all of your things on a Firebase only. Now there is a paid plan of Firebase which you can use to extend your services or basically scale your services, but it's damn costly when it comes to the other option from the market. So that is the thing when I say vendor locking, which is a problem with Firebase. That's when I started hunting down for other BaaS services onto the internet. And I found many of them, some have their pros, some have their limitations, but basically I came down to these two services. Let's discuss them one by one. First one is AWS Amplify. So just like Firebase, Amplify is also a full-fledged comprehensive BaaS solution provided by AWS, which works with web as well as mobile. And if you have ever heard this word AWS in the past, then yes, it's that giant in a cloud computing market which has tackled all over the world and which has the biggest market share when it comes to cloud providing services. And it's a jungle of services, around 3,600 services and still counting till this date. But by launching Amplify in 2017, AWS took an easy pathway, you can say a more less complex pathway for all those developers around the world who wanted a BaaS solution which is easy to implement, easy to use, and which you can say requires less coding or no coding requirement when it comes to building your own backend similar to the Firebase. So all you need to start is to create an AWS account, and you can directly jump onto the AWS Amplify and start learning it. You can directly just skip and skim through all the other complex and high scale services which AWS provides. Because as I said, with Amplify, AWS has taken an easy roadway, because at the end it's a BaaS solution which makes it easy for you to create backend. And that's why it keeps you away from managing all that backend manually. But you may thinking right now that it's the same story like Firebase. Just the difference is that instead of Google, we have AWS here who is managing this Amplify service. But no, that's not the case. Firebase as a service is differentiated from the actual cloud service which is provided by Google, which is called as GCP. So Google tries to market it or tries to present this Firebase service differently than the original service that they provide, which is GCP. But when it comes to AWS story, that is not the case. AWS considers Amplify as its own primary service in AWS itself. And that is the reason that AWS is generous enough for you, that allows you to migrate your backend infrastructure to any of the cloud services from any of other vendors. And that is the thing which differentiates AWS Amplify and AWS as a cloud service from Firebase and Google. Now the second BaaS solution is Appright, and this one is my favorite. Why? You will get the reason in a moment. Appright is completely open source, and this is the key factor here. Also, it is comprehensive and easy to use BaaS solution, which not only allows you to build your backend for your web as well as mobile applications, but also gives you freedom of hosting it either on a public cloud, and if you don't like that option, you can host it on a private cloud as well. Now with the word private cloud, what I mean is that you can use Appright with your on-premise cloud infrastructure. And that's not all. Upright is the most simplest one when it comes to migrating your backend infrastructure to any of the other services that you want. And this is indeed more simpler than AWS Amplify and Firebase. And the main reason behind it is that Upright works along with Docker. And if you've ever heard this word Docker into your life, then you exactly would have known that then the reason Docker was created was this only, that you should be able to migrate your stuff easily regardless of what is it. And because this power of containerization is supported by Upright, it makes it most easy for you to migrate your stuff from one platform to another platform. And the recent news is that Upright also launched its own cloud platform, which is called as Upright Cloud. And with that, they have also removed this layer that now you don't even need to select, or you don't even need to know any cloud infrastructure. You can just use Upright Cloud and everything will be managed by the company itself. Now currently it is in beta, free to use for everyone at any scale, and the founder of Upright recently released the pricing plans, that how it will work when Upright Cloud will be stable. So you can go through their website and try to understand that what they are trying to offer. So I will talk about Upright further in this video, but just to summarize, I would say these are 3 best services that I think you should at least explore, and Upright is the one which is my favorite right now, and I'm exploring it, learning it, and trying to figure out that how can I implement it into my future projects. Now there are furthermore things which are left for you to know, which actually portrays my complete experience, that what I wanted to share with you. But let's keep this video as a part 1 of my story. I will be back very soon with the second part of this story, and will complete all the remaining points in that video. Till then, I would suggest you that give your own research to the topics we discuss in this video, and try to digest them, try to understand them with your own sense of understanding, because in the second part video of this story, it's going to get more interesting. So with that, I would like to wrap up this video as a part 1 of my story, and I will be back very soon with the second part. Till then, thanks for watching, and I will see you guys in the second part. Namaste.
At 29 and I find myself wondering what did happen to the last 10. I ran away with my life, fast forward, never turn back again.